Listen, I need to get this off my chest because I feel like I'm losing my mind in a house that was supposed to be built on honesty. People hear the words open relationship and they immediately think of a lawless land where anything goes. They think it's just a free-for-all where you can do whatever you want with whoever you want. But if you're actually in this life, you know that's a lie. An open relationship isn't about having no rules. It's about having very specific, very sacred rules that keep the marriage from falling apart. In a traditional marriage, the boundary is simple. Don't cross the line. In an open marriage, the line is everywhere, and you have to navigate it with surgical precision. But what happens when you're the only one following the map? What happens when the person who polices your every move is the one secretly burning the rulebook behind your back? To understand the mess I'm in, you have to understand our setup.
My wife and I have been open for a while, but we didn't just dive in head first. We had rules. The biggest, most important rule, the one we both agree was the cornerstone of our trust, was the phone number rule. We agreed that social media, like Instagram or dating apps, were the playground. That's where the flirting stays, to prevent flings from turning into secret lives. In our dynamic, I've always been the designated texter. I handle the vetting, the initial chats, the logistics. It was a role that felt natural, and for a long time, it worked. But lately, something in the air shifted. The atmosphere in our home went from light and transparent to heavy and suspicious.
But here's the complication, the elephant in the room. Years ago, I cheated. I broke the conventional rules of marriage long before we ever went open. I lied, I hid things, and I got caught. I paid the price for it, not just in the arguments, but in the years of guilt and the grueling work of earning back even a fraction of her trust. I accepted that I would always wear that scarlet letter. I became an open book. I gave up my privacy so she could have her peace. I lived with the fact that trust, once shattered, never quite looks the same again. I earned back her trust as much as a man can, but I always knew I was on probation. So for the last several years, I've been the most loyal, rule-following man you've ever met. I didn't breathe without making sure she knew where I was. I thought we were okay. I thought the open lifestyle was our way of moving forward with total honesty. But a few months ago, Sarah, not her real name, started acting like a detective.
She started checking my social media followers, scrolling through my likes, and interrogating me about every single message. Who's she? Why did he message you? What were you talking about at 10 p.m.? It was constant. It was like I was being policed for crimes I hadn't committed in a decade. I took it, though. I figured this was just my penance. I thought the old trauma of my past mistake was just flaring up for her, and as her husband, it was my job to stand there and let her vent her insecurities. I let her do a deep dive into my phone, my DMs, my entire digital existence, just to prove I had nothing to hide. But there's a dark side to human behavior called projection. It's a psychological trick where a person takes their own guilty actions and projects them onto someone else to make themselves feel better. It's the thief who was convinced everyone is trying to rob him. The more she accused me, the more my gut started to ache. It didn't feel like hurt anymore. It felt like a smokescreen. A few weeks ago, she did a particularly aggressive dive into my social media, and something about the way she was acting felt off. It felt like she was looking for an excuse to be angry. So for the first time in years, I did something I promised I wouldn't do. I did a little digging of my own. I wasn't looking for a one-night stand. I wasn't looking for a secret hotel receipt. What I found was something much more calculated, much more intimate, and infinitely more heartbreaking. I found a conversation that didn't just break a rule. It rewrote the last 2 years of our marriage. I found a guy she met on Instagram. According to our rules, that's where it should have stayed. But instead, she had given him her number almost immediately. And for the past 2 years, 730 days, they have been texting every single day. This wasn't just casual chatting. This was a full-blown parallel relationship. They would text from the second they woke up. Good morning. How did you sleep? What's your day look like? The conversation would continue all day, through lunch, through her work shifts, and right up until the moment she laid down in bed next to me. While I was lying there, thinking she was scrolling through memes or checking the news,
She was sharing her life with a man I didn't know existed.
The scale of the deception is what makes my head spin. For 2 years, she has been maintaining this secret intimacy while simultaneously interrogating me about my loyalty. She was using my past mistake as a weapon to keep me on the defensive, so I wouldn't notice what she was doing. Every time she accused me of talking to someone else, she was buying herself another day of her own secret conversation. It was a masterclass in gaslighting. We are in an open relationship. That's the most insane part of this whole thing. If she had come to me and said, "Hey, I've really clicked with this guy. I want to move to text," I probably would have said yes. That's why we have this lifestyle, so we don't have to lie. But she didn't want transparency. She wanted the secret. She wanted the rush of having something that was just hers, hidden away from the man who was following all the rules. It feels like she chose to lie, not because she had to, but because she wanted to.
To me, this crosses every line we have. Texting someone from sunrise to sunset for 2 years isn't just flirting, it's an emotional affair. It's a bond that she nurtured in the dark while I was busy trying to be the perfect, transparent partner to make up for my past. As far as I can see, she hasn't met him. They haven't even spoken on the phone. But does that even matter? In our world, giving out that number and hiding the connection is the ultimate betrayal. It's the choice to be intimate with a stranger in a way she wasn't being intimate with me. I haven't confronted her yet. I'm still standing in the wreckage of what I thought was our honest life. I'm looking at her across the dinner table, and for the first time in a decade, I realize I don't know who she is. I see her glance at her phone and smile, and I know exactly who is on the other side of that screen. I see her look at me with that familiar flash of suspicion, and I realize it's all a performance, a way to keep me from asking the questions she's afraid to answer. I'm struggling with the ex-cheater label. Does my past mean I have to accept this? Does my mistake from years ago give her a lifetime pass to break the rules we set today? I don't think it does. But the guilt is a powerful silencer. Part of me feels like I don't have the right to be angry. The other part of me knows that if the roles were reversed, she would have ended the marriage months ago. I'm not looking for someone to tell me I'm a good guy. I know my history. But I am looking for a reality check. Because right now, open feels a lot like broken. We built this life so we wouldn't have to hide. We built it so we could be ourselves. And yet, she chose to hide anyway. She chose the shadow over the light. And now I'm left wondering, if she could hide this for 2 years, what else is buried in the silence of our open marriage? I'm going to have to talk to her soon. I'm going to have to break the peace. But until then, I'm just a man sitting in a house that feels a lot more crowded than it did yesterday. Because now, there's a third person in our marriage, and he's been here for 730 days.